We're learning the second Sikhe on Parshas Vayigash in Chelek Chof on page 218. The shir today is being learned L'Nishmas Rabbi ben Yamin ben Rabbanashe Kaltman. In Ashlomas HaMispar von die Shivim Nefesh. In this parsha where it speaks about Yaakov and his family coming down to Mitzrayim. And it says in the pasuk Kol HaNefesh Goyim Haba Mitzrayim HaShivim that they came down, there was 70 souls. So the completion of the number 70 was the Torah rechnet as the Torah counts them, gefindt men kamedeis in Medrash Chazal Mafarshi Torah. We find various opinions that are brought down in Midrashim and in the commentaries on the Torah. In Gemara state, only ein day in Medrash in Gemara, and in one opinion in the Medrash it says, as Yechevet had mashmul given the minyan from Shivim Nefesh. That Yechevet is the one that completes the number to 70. When you count the number of the people of the family that came down to Mitzrayim, it only adds up to 69. Who was the 70th? Yechevet. For sie is geboren geworden ben Achaimis. She was born within the walls of Mitzrayim, right at the entrance of Mitzrayim. Hoyrasa baderech. The pregnancy was already before, when her mother was on the way to Mitzrayim. Vileidasa ben Achaimis. And her birth was between the walls of Mitzrayim. Und das ist das Rashi bepirushi ala Torah bepshuta shel mikra. This is also Rashi's opinion in explaining the number of 70 as Rashi brings it for the simple understanding of the pasuk. Another opinion, Leuten Peked Rabbi Eliezer unadei Medrash. Another opinion, Peked Rabbi Eliezer and in the Medrash, is that Kadosh Baruch Hu nichnas imaim b'minyan. Hashem Himself enters together with Yidden in this count of 70. A third opinion, Kamo Mefarshi Torah. Some of the commentaries say, Nemenon, they accept, and Azay Zeichda Adei in Medrash as well. As the minyan from Shivim Nefesh is given, Sezamim mit Yaakov, the number of 70 souls that came down to Mitzrayim is including Yaakov himself. Darf man verstehen, so we need to explain here, was ist die Zware, Vetam von die Chiluke Deis, wer es wird reingerechnet in die Shivim Nefesh. How do we explain the reason behind these three opinions? Who is it that we include in the count and the number of the 70 souls? Nachmer, furthermore, the question here is, nit nor shaynes. Not only are there different opinions here, nor the chilek zwischen zeh is menakotza la kotza. The difference in the opinions is from one extreme to another. Leute deya as Yaakov of Mashlim given the minyan, according to the opinion that Yaakov is the one that completed the count. And definitely, according to the opinion that the Eibishter is the one that entered with them in the count, is their minyan Malay von Shivim Nefesh Nishlam geworden durch dem Hechsten und dem Sholem von die Alai Nefesh. That means that the completion, the 70th, the one that completes the number, is by the highest and greatest and most complete entity that completes that number 70, Hashem Himself. As Yechevet wird gerechnet zwischen die Shivim Nefesh, but on the other hand, according to the opinion that it's Yechevet that's counted as the 70th to make up the number 70, kumtais as the Ashlam is given durch der Madrega Achitachteina. So the 70th is being completed by one that's on a low level, on the lowest level. Abbas Yisrael, was is erst geboren geworden, just a little baby, a girl that was just born, and Leidasa Ben Achaimis, and she's actually born here right now between the walls of Mitzrayim. So there's a big difference in this number 70, who it is that's completing the number. Another detail here. Wie kommt es? How is it as Rashi, was is mefarish pshuta shel mikra? Rashi that always explains the simplest understanding of the pasuk. Lerin, so he understands, as in the mispah from Shivim Nefesh, wird reingerechnet Yechevet. Who is it that's included in the number of 70, specifically Yechevet? Welche wird mont b'mikra erst in Shmais. Where she mentioned the first time in the Torah, not here in Vayigash, but only in Shemais and by name, the first time she's mentioned is later in Va'era, as the Rebbe brings here in the footnote. Unit Yaakov. Why wouldn't Rashi learn that it's Yaakov that completes the 70? As many that explain also the simple understanding of the pasuk say that it refers to Yaakov. Now, when you look at the simple reading and understanding of the words, where it says that the souls of the sons and daughters of Yaakov are 33, is mashma as Yaakov wird nit nichlal in the shleishim v'shalosh and b'meila oich nit in the shivim nefesh. So it doesn't seem like Yaakov himself is included in the number here of 33 and also not in the number of 70 because we're speaking about the children of Yaakov. While derech zeh and similar in other places we see is moving from the Mdiak Lashon HaKosov, Kol HaNefesh Lebeis Yaakov, Haba Mitzrayim Hashivim. The souls to the house of Yaakov, the family of Yaakov, that came to Mitzrayim is 70. As the meint in Nefashos was Oster Yaakov. So it's understood that we're speaking about the family of Yaakov, not including Yaakov himself. Umefurish Bekosov, and there's a clear pasuk that says, Vayihi Kol Nefesh Yoytze Yerech Yaakov Shivim Nefesh. That it was the descendants of Yaakov that came to Mitzrayim that were 70. So in the simple pshat of the pasuk, it's difficult to say that Yaakov is included. But as Hagufet Tzarech Bir, this itself requires a clarification. Was is the time was Yaakov Alein is nit arayin a mitzvah from the ayin nefashos? What is the reason for this? That Yaakov himself, the father of the entire family, is not included in the number of the 70 souls that descended to Mitzrayim. Euch is doch bei Bala Mitzrayim zusammen mit Kol Nefesh banav Neisav. Yaakov also joined his family and came down to Mitzrayim together with his children. Okay, so the Rabbi begins by suggesting an explanation for the difference of opinions. Who is the 70th that makes up the whole number here? So at first glance, we could explain the difference of the opinions by looking closer at the exact words that it says in Pirkei de Rabbi Lazar, as opposed to what it says in Medrash and Rashi by Dashlome Durach HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'Yecheved. When they speak about the fact that Hashem is the one that completed the number, or it's Yecheved that completes the number to 70. In Pirkei de Rabbi Lazar state the Lashon Ukishabal L'Gvul Mitzrayim. And so in Pirkei de Rabbi Lazar it says as follows: that when they came to the border of Mitzrayim, Nisyachsu Kol Ascharim Shishim V'Sheish, so all of the males were 66. V'Yosef V'Shnei Banav, and then it includes Yosef and his 2 children. That's another 3. Harei Shivim Chasar Achas, that's 69. Uksiv, and then the pasuk says B'Shivim Nefesh Yardu Avisecha Mitzrayim, that it's 70 that descended down to Mitzrayim. So where is the 70th? Ma Asa Kadosh Baruch Hu, what does Hashem do? Nichnas Imoem B'Minyan, Hashem enters and joins them in this count. And va'alu l'mispa shivim, and they come to the number of 70. L'kayim hashanema, this fulfills what it says in the pasuk that Hashem said, "Anoichi eireit imcha Mitzrayim." I will descend with you, with Yaakov. That is, Hashem tells Yaakov to Mitzrayim. So here Hashem joins them in the number of 70 and descends to Mitzrayim. So as you see, what the Rebbe is highlighting here is the Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer is quoting the expression of the pasuk twice, where it uses the term yardu and eired. The fact that Yidden are descending into an exile, into a galus of Mitzrayim. Masha'enkin in Medrash, by contrast, when the Medrash speaks about this, the souls that arrived to Mitzrayim. And then including the children of Yosef, so that comes to the number of 70. And the Medrash explains, that includes Yecheved, that completed the number when the Yidden came to Mitzrayim. So here the Medrash does not focus on the word Yerdu or Eired. It says the word Haba, which is the arrival to Mitzrayim. So if so, the difference is as follows. As haste, in other words, this means is like this. In Pirkei de Rabbi Lazar, retzich be'iker wegen die Yeride von Bnei Yisrael in Galus Mitzrayim. In Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, he's primarily focusing on the fact that the Yidden are now descending into an exile in Galus Mitzrayim. Is das was HaKadosh Baruch Hu nichnas imahem b'minyan? So the fact that Hashem is entering and joining them, and it emphasizes not just the fact that Hashem is the 70th, but the fact that Hashem is joining them in this count. Anoichi eired imcha, as Hashem promised, it'll come along with the Yidden, a hechrech. So the fact that Hashem is being counted as the 70, this is a must. Because for Galus, this is necessary. This is empowering the Yidden. That going down, descending into exile, that they should have the power to overcome the difficult subjugation of Mitzrayim. Knowing that Hashem is with them in Mitzrayim. Therefore, the Medrash emphasizes, or Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer emphasizes, the expression of imam, that Hashem is with them. He completes with them the number. Hashem, so to speak, is together with Yidden in Galus Mitzrayim. That's the explanation of the Medrash that the number 70 refers to Hashem because this is the support and the power that Hashem gives Yidden being with them in Galus Mitzrayim. That's the focus according to the Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer. However, in the Medrash, Rashi, when it speaks about Yecheved being the 70th, is the Adgasha Oiv Haba Mitzrayim Shivim, that they arrived to Mitzrayim as 70 souls. The Ashlama Saminyan von Ein Nefesh Mitzrayim, completing the number of 70 when they come to Mitzrayim, nit verbunden mit der Yeride in Mitzrayim, Koishia Shibud. We're not focusing here on the fact that this is the beginning of exile and the fact that it will be a very difficult galus. On in them is Yecheved Geven, die was a Shlimme Minyan Shal Yisrael. So since we're just simply speaking about Yidden descending to Mitzrayim, we're not really focusing on the descent, but just their arrival to Mitzrayim. So here, Yecheved is the one that completes that number. However, now that we pointed out this detail here, that only in regards to Hashem, if He's the one that's completing the number, there's a focus on the Yerida, that Yidden are descending into a Golus, and Hashem is empowering them. But regarding Yecheved, it doesn't point out the Yerida that they're going to be in a Golus. So this itself now brings up another question. Yecheved is given von die Einzige, von die Boim Mitzrayim, Shivim, was is beigewen dem Koshi Shibut Mitzrayim. Yecheved, from all those that descended now to Mitzrayim, was the only one that actually remained alive and experienced the difficult Galus of Mitzrayim. There's man was is given Tachlis HaYeride in Galus Mitzrayim, the time period when Yidden really descended into the exile of Mitzrayim. All the others passed away before the difficulty of the Galus began. Is wie kommt das, was Hashlama Saminyan, is the Medrash Mekasher daf gemit Yishivim Nefesh Haba Mitzrayim. So why is it that when it comes to the fact that she completes the number of 70, the Medrash connects this to the Lashon of the Pasuk where it says that they arrived to Mitzrayim. Unit mitten b'shivim nefesh yardu avisecha Mitzrayim. And not connecting it to the Pasuk where it says that our ancestors descended to Mitzrayim, if she actually is the only one out of all of them that really descended into Galus Mitzrayim. So therefore this still needs an additional explanation of what is behind the opinions here. Who is the one that is completing the number 70? Is it Hashem? Is it Yaakov? Or is it Yecheved? Another question we could ask on the language that was quoted before in Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer regarding those that make up the number 70. He says, Nisyachsu kol azcharim shishim v'sheish cholu. So here we have together counted the males that make up the number of 66. Now the question is, zwischen die shishim v'sheish werden gerechnet nit nascharim, nor euch Dina v'serach bas Asher. Amongst the 66 is not only males, you also have Dina, the son of the daughter rather of Leah, and Serach, the daughter of Asher. So if there's two Nekevas, females amongst them, why does the Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer point out the fact that there's charim, males? Now there's another thing to discuss here in the language of the Pasuk discussing the number of 70 that came down to Mitzrayim. Mefarshim stellen sich auf dem, was im Pasuk kol hanefesh haba Yaakov Mitzrayim v'goyme steht der minyan beloshen nekeva kol nefesh shishim v'sheish. The commentaries, so they point out another thing in the language of the Pasuk when it says that all the souls of the children of Yaakov that came down to Mitzrayim, and it counts them, and it says that the nefesh was shishim v'sheish. Now the number shishim v'sheish is written in a female term. In Lashon Kodesh, sheish is female and shisha is male, is Lashon Zachar. So why does it, here we see it uses the term shishim v'sheish, in the keva term. On the Pasuk Shaliach Reze, and then in the following Pasuk, Uvnei Yosef, wird es gesagt b'Lashon Zachar. There, when it counts the children of Yosef, it uses the male term, nefesh shnayim, that there were two. And it doesn't say shtayim, but shnayim, Lashon Zachar. So what's the reason for this difference? Similarly, we find this difference before as well. By Bnei Leah, Bnei Zilpa, steht the minyan b'Lashon Nekeva, shleishim v'shalosh, and sheish esrei nefesh. Regarding the children of Leah and the children of Zilpa, it uses the female term shleishim v'shalosh, not shleisha, and sheish esrei, not shisha esrei, which is a female term. By Bnei Rachel, Bnei Bila, b'Lashon Zachar. But by the children of Rachel or Bila, it says the male term kol nefesh arba'a asar, not arba asar, but arba'a asar, and then kol nefesh shiv'a, which is the zachar term. So what's the here again? We see this difference between the different children of the imais. What's the reason for this difference? And the answer that the commentary says is as follows. As wie bald nicht nur so eine Keve Simon beminien zwischen die Bnei Leah werden gerechnet euch Dina und zwischen Bnei Zilpa Serach Achaisam Bas Asher, because amongst the children of Leah and the children of Zilpa there are two daughters that are mentioned here, Dina and Serach, steht der Rebbe b'lashon Keve. So therefore, regarding their children, the Torah, when it counts, it uses the term Shishim V'Sheish, using the Nekeva term. But when it comes to the children of Yosef, and similar by the children of Rachel and Bilhah, there are no females. So therefore uses the male term for the number. This answer, though, is not a smooth answer. If we see in the count, it includes both males and females, so then, as it is in Diktuk, when you write in Torah, it would use the Lashon Zachar. The Torah is written B'Lashon Zachar. So if it's a case where it includes Zachar and a Keva, then the Torah should still use the number using the male term. And especially in this case, as the Nikeva is and the Miyuta, that the females that are here amongst the males are a small minority. Zwischen zwei zwischen die Shishim V'Sheish. There's only two amongst 66. Einer oder zwei zwischen die Lamed Gimel B'nei Leah, one or two amongst the 33 children of Leah, und einer zwischen B'nei Zilpa, and one amongst the children of Zilpa. So what's the reason that it says here in the Torah the female term in the number of Shishim V'Sheish? And by B'nai Yosef, it actually uses the male term. So that still remains a question. Okay, so we need to explain the three opinions of who is it that is making up completing the number of 70. And then we see here two opposite things that are being highlighted here in the Torah. On one hand, the Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer highlights the fact that it's chorim, that it's 66 males. On the other hand, in the actual expression of the pasuk, it says Shishim V'Sheish, which is a lashon nekeva, highlighting the fact that there's a power to the females that were amongst them when they came down to Mitzrayim. So to explain all of this, the Rebbe gives a lengthy introduction, and then we'll come back to see how this applies and how this will explain the opinions and the diyukim here in the pasuk. In the Mispar Ayin Nefesh von the Eden gefindt men bechlalis zwei inyanim. Regarding this number, what's the relevance of this number 70? So we find generally two different points about this number. Aleph, ze zene keneged di ayin umois v'zene verbunden mit di ayin sarim shalamayla. It corresponds to the 70 nations that are sourced in the 70 ministers, the 70 ministering angels that are the source of the 70 nations in this world. Beis, another source for the number 70, ze zene verbunden mit dem Misper ayin bayidin. The number 70 here is related to the number 70 that's found by Klal Yisrael, by Yidden themselves. Shivim Zikanim, the 70 elders in the Sanhedrin. Well, there's the 70 elders in the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, and then in the time of the Sanhedrin, Chulu, and in other cases as well, where we see the number of 70, which is significant by Klal Yisrael themselves. So we have two different things. Either it's a number of that we're using here regarding the Yidden that came down to Mitzrayim, but it's really related to the nations of the world. Or it's a number that actually relates to the Yidden for themselves. So now they're both true. Bechlalas, then das die zwei inyanim und peules, was haben sich gedacht auftan durch die Yeride von der Ein Nefesh b'Mitzrayim. So generally, the number and the two aspects of the number are related to the two different points of what was accomplished by the Yidden coming down to Mitzrayim in the number of 70 souls. A peule b'negei zu Yidden, Galus Mitzrayim accomplished something regarding Yidden themselves, und a peule in Welt. And it also accomplished something regarding the world in general. So the reason is because Galus Mitzrayim is doch gewend der Achone zum Matan Teire ve Kabbalas HaTeire. The exile, Yidden being in Mitzrayim, was a preparation for Hashem giving and then the Yidden receiving the Teire. Was für Matan Teire hat sich aufgetan, benegei zu Yidden. So Matan Teire, there were two things that were accomplished. One is regarding Yidden themselves, as Anochi Avaye is geworden Elekecha. When Hashem says by Matan Teire, Anochi Avaye Elekecha, that means that Anochi Avaya becomes Elikecha, becomes Kechacha v'chayasecha, your energy, your life. That's the accomplishment of Matan Torah, B'negeya to Yidden, their unification with Hashem. And B'negeya the Welt, B'chlal, and also the accomplishment of Matan Torah regarding the world in general. As it says in the Medrash, der Kishur v'chibur von Elokus mit Welt. This was the time when the existence of the world was joined together and unified with Hashem. Demult is batel geworden the Gzeira. It was at that time that the Gzeira, the decree, was nullified. The Gzeira that separated the worlds above, Hashem, godliness, with the world below. That what's above should not connect and come down below, and the existence of the world below shouldn't connect and shouldn't go up and connect to godliness. At the time of Matan Torah, that Gzeira was nullified and the world below was joined together with Hashem. Those are the two accomplishments of Matan Torah. Ukagdame l'chol zeh hat gedarft sein Golus Mitzrayim sai b'negei Yidden, sai b'negei Welt. And as an introduction for all of this, for what's going to be accomplished at Matan Torah, there is Golus Mitzrayim, and Golus Mitzrayim is the preparation both for the first aspect of Matan Torah, bringing Anochi Avaya, being revealed and being joined together with the existence of a Yid, and also regarding the world in general. So the Rebbe will begin first explaining the accomplishment of Golus Mitzrayim as it relates to the Yidden themselves. Razal Zogen, our sages tell us, as a ovis, hein amerkava, that our ancestors, our forefathers, are compared to a chariot. And what this means is, was kol v'reim kulam, all of the limbs and organs of their body, hayu kedoshim umuvdalim minyani olam hazeh, were holy and separated from matters of this world. Kol yemeim, their entire lifetime. Sie sind gestanden ständig in avbittel chulu v'hiskasher sulakus. They were constantly living with a complete nullification to Hashem and a complete connection to Hashem. Und der Rebbe is by say given hashras hashchina begili mamish, and therefore in their life, even here in this physical world, they experience constantly an absolute and complete openness of the Shechina that was revealed in them. Und kedei die beginnen soll nimshach werden euch zu den neshamas tachteines, weil seine shaykh zu helem is biyah. In order that this level of revelation that the Ovis experienced should then continue to the next generation and be brought down into the neshamas of Yidden that are in the lower level, that do relate to a reality of existence which are in the lower worlds of Bria, Yitzir, and Asiya. Bis zu Madreges Tachteines da Asiya, including to bring it down even further into the lowest world, into our world of Asiya. This is accomplished by the next generation, the Shvatim, and then further, including the next generation, which are then divided into the 70 souls. The level of the Shvatim is bringing down that revelation of the Avos, which were in the world of Atzilus. They experienced the truth and the reality of Atzilus here in this world, and they're not relating at all to the existence of Biyah of our world. The Shvatim, however, are bringing down that truth and revelation of Hashem into the reality of the lower worlds of Biyah. Now, but furthermore, to bring it down even lower, Ober, Kedei the Amshachas l'Ankumen Siyed and Neshama. In order that to draw down and bring down the godly revelation of the Ovis, of the Shechina, to every single soul, is nit genug das was es vet nimshach al yidei hashvatim v'ayin nefesh. It's still insufficient that it's being drawn down through the Shvatim and the 70 souls of that generation. Nor es hat euch gedarft sein, ze yiride von Eretz Yisrael in Golus Mitzrayim. It was necessary that the Shvatim and the 70 souls should come down, descend into the Golus of Mitzrayim. An ort where zetzach nit elkus, into a place in a land where godliness is not revealed. Adarab, on the contrary, says Amokim from hell of a hester of elkus. It's a place which consists of a concealment of godliness. And then, even there, when Yidden are in this place of Mitzrayim, an eretz was ein Yerushalayim b'neim, a land where there's no fear of God amongst the people there. Is euch dort wird erhört by jedem b'nei Yisrael die nekudas hayahadus maminim, that even there every single Yid senses and feels the pintel Yid that he has, the faith that Yidden have, that they're believers, hat das gepoilt, so this then accomplished as beginnes alakus, was by the Ovis, zol nimshach und es galeveren zu jedem nefesh mi Yisrael, that level of godly revelation that comes from above, that the Ovis experienced through a complete self-nullification, should come down and be revealed and applied by every single soul of Yidden, to the end of all times, even one that's on the very lowest level, like it is that the Yidden accomplished then and brought it down into Golus Mitzrayim, that they held the Pintel Yid, their faith in that situation. The B'chinas Elokus, Was ist Nimshach, when it's Gali geworden, zu jeder Yidden, the level of godliness that's drawn down and revealed to every single Jew is their Inyan Amunah. That's the simple faith of a Yid. The Amunah Pshuta for Yidden in the Meibishn. The simple faith that every single Yid has in Hashem. Was hat sich ausgedrückt in Vayam Na'am, which was expressed by the fact that then, even being in the difficulty of Golas Mitzrayim, the Yidden still held on to their faith, as the Rebishter can wird sie herausnehmen from Golas Mitzrayim, that Hashem can and will redeem them from this Golas. Und beim Eibishten sind eine Dokemenies wie Kuvim Chas v'Shalom, and that by Hashem he has no obstacles and nothing is preventing him of doing what he wants, God forbid. So this is what was accomplished by Golas Mitzrayim, to draw down and to bring the level of the Avos that it should apply and be revealed even to a Yid that's in such a low place. And that then, for all future generations, brings down the revelation and the power of the Amun of a Yid to be revealed wherever they are, whatever condition they may find themselves. Because this is the Pirish Apnimi for Maim Chazal. This is the deeper understanding of what it says in the Medrash, like Nigalu, Yisrael, Aviseinu, Mitzrayim, Elo B'schus Amunah. That the Yidden, our ancestors, were redeemed from Mitzrayim only in the merits of their faith in Hashem. Das ist nicht kein zeitige Inyanus Chus. So the meaning of this medrash is not only, as it seems superficially, that this is a merit that they had. Aside, I think, as a merit that they had, and therefore it was used, this merit was used to be zeiche, that they should go out of Mitzrayim. No, rather, they're mechuvin v'tachlus from Golas Mitzrayim. This was actually the entire purpose and the whole point of Golas Mitzrayim, to draw out from Yidden, to reveal that deeper faith even in such a place, that reveals the deepest level of godliness that comes out in this simple faith of Yidden. That was the whole point of the Golas, and that's why when it was accomplished, Yidden are redeemed from Mitzrayim. Und das ist gewähnt, die Achone zum Matan Torah. This is the preparation for the first aspect of Matan Torah, as a Zolveren, Anoichi Avaya Lekecha, Asher Etzisicha, Meyeretz Mitzrayim. That which means by Yeder Yidden, every single Jew at Seif Kol Adairis to the end of all times, Zol defilt werden begilui as Avaya is Elekecha, that he should sense and feel the truth that Avaya is his true energy, Kechacha v'chayisecha, his energy and life. Und das wird aufgetan durch Etzisicha Meretz Mitzrayim. This is accomplished by the fact that Yidden are in Golas Mitzrayim, herausgenommen werden von Mitzarim und Gvulim, that even there being in Mitzrayim, Yidden remain strong with their simple faith that Hashem will take them out of Golas Mitzrayim, and they were taken out of Golas Mitzrayim, and then this empowers Yidden for all future generations that Anoichi Avaya Lekecha, that the Pintel Yid, that Amunah is the true energy and life of a Yid. That's the accomplishment and the point of Golas Mitzrayim as a preparation for the first aspect of Matan Torah, Anoichi Avaya Lekecha. Okay, but now we come back to the number 70, the accomplishment of who is it that completes the number of 70, and what's the significance about this? Since the Yidden's descent into Mitzrayim is connected specifically with the number of 70. Das heißt, wie Madreges HaShvatim wird nimshach lamata. This is the level of the Shvatim, not just the Shvatim that are below the Avos, that bring it down a level lower, but even when it's subdivided further into the number of 70, Nispashet nidrike wie sie stehen in der Schalkes von Yud Bei Shvatim, being divided even further away from that basic division of 12. And also, as mentioned before, the number 70, which symbolizes or is connected to the number 70 of the 70 ministering angels and the 70 nations in this world. So it's a further division into this world. Is Kedei as Mitzrayim, Erves Haaretz. So in order that the land of Mitzrayim, the lowest place in the world, soll mit Meilim sein im Ganzen, that it should not conceal completely over the godly spark that's there between Yidden, hatten die Eigen gedacht, nimshach werden, a beginne, Madrege, was es mitzad atzma, heche, von Mitzarim, Gulim, von Seder, Stalschluss, Deilim, Isbiyah. So it's necessary that amongst these 70, there is a revelation, there's a level that is really completely above the limitations of the entire existence of Seder, Stalschluss, of all the worlds, ubemela hecher, von Slapshus in Eretz Mitzrayim. And therefore, is totally above the entire environment and the descent to Mitzrayim. Even though they're going down to Mitzrayim, and they may be present in Mitzrayim, but they're not really connecting and adapting to the environment of Mitzrayim. There's no hislapshus. You're not really present in being connected to the place where you are. So amongst them, there has to be an entity that keeps them above Mitzrayim. Das is the Nesinas Kayach in the Ayin Nefesh, and this empowers the Yidden that are now presented by the number of 70 as Oich B'Yiridasal Mitzrayim sollen sie nicht gewähren in Helam HaGolos. That now they're empowered that even here after they descend into this place of Mitzrayim, nevertheless they will not sink into the concealment of this place of the Golos, of the exile of Mitzrayim. Das is the Tamadeye. This is the reason for the opinion that was mentioned before, as Yaakov, as Madrigosta is Atzilus, that Yaakov and his level is Atzilus, Hechef und Ishtalshalus. What that represents is that wherever Yaakov is, he's always in that world of Atzilus. He doesn't get changed in not in Bria, Yitzira, Asiya, not even in Mitzrayim. He remains wherever he is, totally Batal Tashem, living in the world of Atzilus. Hat Mashlim gewen, which means is Nimshach geworden, and they're Minyan von Ayin Nefesh. He's the one that completes and he brings the influence of his level to the 70 souls that came down to Mitzrayim. That's the first opinion. The zweite day is aber Meisef, but now the second opinion though adds, und in Pirkei der Rabbi Eliezer steht bloß die Deye, and in the Pirkei der Rabbi Eliezer this is the only opinion mentioned, as HaKadosh Baruch Hu hishlem imo emes aminyan. That it's the level of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that's completing the number of 70. What's the significance of this opinion? Vibalt as kol in yoneh from Golos Mitzrayim is kedeyas al nimshach verem adreges ha'avis. Now, since as explained, the entire point of Yidden descending into Mitzrayim as a preparation for Matan Torah was that to bring down the level of the avis. And including in them, and actually primarily Yaakov being the chosen of the avis, to Yed and Neshama, that his level of dedication to Hashem should now be there and should be possible for every single Yid in any time to reach and connect to, a filish of madrega chitachtaina, including one that's on the lowest level, can das nit sein in an Eifen, as in Golos Mitzrayim soll nimshach werden und sich herren al kapana behedlen b'chinas Asher Yaakov Eilam Atzilis. So it's not possible to accomplish this if the level of Yaakov is coming along and being extended to some extent, even if it's in a concealed level, the level of Yaakov, which is the world of Atzilus. Because if Yaakov, which is the world of Atzilus, is being revealed or is being brought together with Yidden into Mitzrayim, so then it's not a real Golos. What in demold is their Golos nitken emes ahelim, because then the exile that Yidden are in is not a real concealment. So then the point and the purpose of the Golos, which is that there should be an exile, and Yidden should be in that low place of a Golos, and there to reveal and experience their pure faith in Hashem, cannot be accomplished. Because if it's Yaakov that's empowering them, he's empowering them to really remain above Golos. They're never really going to be in and affected by the Golos. But the whole point, though, is to be in a Golos and there to reveal their faith in Hashem. So therefore, the second opinion says that who's the one that completes the number of 70 when Yidden come into Golos Mitzrayim? Soiviv Kalalman. The term HaKadosh Baruch Hu here refers to Hashem, which is Soiviv Kalalman. Now, Soiviv Kalalman is the existence of Hashem that's infinite, where levels above, below, and all of this does not matter at all. Kana zayin mit Yidden in Golos. So here, this is a level of godliness that's with Yidden in the Golos. Nichnas imayim b'minyan. He joins them in the Golos of Mitzrayim. V'afal pikein hert sich nit an, weil is be'etzem kodesh muvdul mufresh. But nevertheless, this level of Soiviv Kalalman is not at all sensed and experienced. Why? Because what is the idea of Soiviv Kalalman? Soiviv Kalalman is the presence of Hashem, which is totally holy, which means totally removed. It's the presence of Hashem that does not at all relate to any level of existence. It doesn't connect to one or another level of existence at all. Hashem exists in the terms of His existence, not related to any level that you're on. So wherever you are and you're experiencing the reality of that place, the level of Hashem's existence, which is totally there, but is not experienced at all. So therefore, this is very different than the revelation of Yaakov, which doesn't allow Yidden to sink into the Golos Mitzrayim. However, the revelation of Soiviv Kalalman, Soiviv is a holy presence of Hashem that allows for Yidden to be in a Golos. Ubemele is the snit bestire zum Helam HaGolos, and therefore the presence of Soiviv Kalalman, while Yidden are in Golos, is not at all a contradiction to the fact that Yidden will experience a complete concealment of what the Golos is. Was in Yonah is, and then the point here is, as es herzach nit kein gilei lekus b'neshama, that Yidden are in a Golos, and they don't have any revelation of their neshama, and then there, Yidden are going to find the power to reveal their pure faith in Hashem. But the point, though, is that the Yidden should descend into a Golus Mitzrayim. And therefore, this opinion here says, in Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer, and also in Medrash, that this is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Soiviv Kalaman, that is being mashlim the Shivim Nefesh, that allows Yidden to actually experience and be in the concealment of Golus. But then comes the final opinion that Rashi also quotes, that this refers to Yecheved, that is completing the number 70. Now this, that Yecheved is the one that completes the number of 70, descending into Mitzrayim. Aziyat Gepoyel, the Shleimos, and the minion for Shivim Nefesh, she's the one that brings this number to its completion of 70. Is this in them, as is Zayin, Vinizgale, the Rinyan Amuna. The point of her being the one that makes up the number 70 is that while Yidden are in Golus Mitzrayim, they should have the ability to then have and reveal their pure faith in Hashem. Right, so this is after you say that Hashem creates and allows Yidden to be in a Golus. And there's a level of Soiviv Kalaman that's there along with Yidden. But Soiviv Kalaman is not sensed, is not experienced at all. It allows Golus to be, because it's removed of the reality that they're experiencing. But then Yechevet, which is with Yidden in Mitzrayim, her level is the one that allows for Yidden in that place of Galos to reveal their true and pure faith. What does Yechevet represent? The Bir Bezet explanation for this is Isha B'chlal is Merames of Sfiris HaMalchus. The woman, in general, is the one that hints to the level of Malchus, the Sfira of Malchus. As we know, the Sfiris above, there are the Meichin, which is not discussed in the Sikha at all, there's Chachma Bin and Das. Then there are the Midas, which are called Zoh or Ze'er Ampin. The Midas of Hashem are a level of godly revelation, which is above being a direct source for actual creation. Malchus then receives from the Spheres above, like a woman that's a recipient that receives, and then she is the source of the actual creation of the world. That's what Spheres HaMalchus is. That's hinted to by an Isha in this world. Was in Malchus and in Dot Zwei Ktzavis de Geinyanim. In the Sphira of Malchus, we find two extreme opposites about what Malchus is in its godly revelation or relation to this world. On one hand, Ragleha Yerdis Chulu. The pasuk that says Ragleha Yerdis, maybe it's not a pasuk, but the term of Ragleha Yerdis, that its feet descend below, meaning that it comes down, it goes away from the source, that refers to Malchus. Was mitzadem is da and is in this makom of Galus. The whole point of Malchus, as it says many times in Chassidus, that Malchus is also connected to speech. Like when a person has his inner feelings or ideas, and then the speech is what leaves from the person and is shared with someone else, and it can be even separated and becomes independent from the person. Malchus is the source of the godly energy that comes down to create an existence, an independent existence in the world. But so Tzadem is done in this makom of Galus, and therefore this brings about an existence of the concealment of Hashem in an exile. Le'ida, however, on the other hand, ve'etzi angerufen ve'emuna kol zeis. The lashon that we say, the nusach and davening, ve'emuna kol zeis, that I have faith in Hashem in all of this. The term zeis here, and the emuna kol zeis refers to Malchus, which means mitzat sfiris ha-Malchus kum ter inyana amuna. Malchus, the godly revelation that comes into the world through Malchus, is the source for the belief in Hashem, as Malchus or Malchuscha, Malchus Kalelamim, that the kingdom of Hashem is the kingdom of this world, as the Chayis, Umetzias, Kala Elamis, when you see the life and the existence of everything in the world, Nemtzich Fun Midas Malchusi Barach. Where does it come from? It's not anything that it has anything on its own, but it's all coming from the Malchus of Hashem. So the true and inner idea of what Malchus is about is revealing the kingdom of Hashem in this world. Okay, so this is something that's revealed specifically through Malchus. On the level of Saiviv, the godly revelation that's here is actually not experienced and revealed. It's the presence of Hashem completely, but in Hashem's reality, on His terms, not something that we can experience in our definition of reality. Malchus is the godly revelation that comes down to relate to our reality of existence, and here, in this reality, to reveal that truth of Hashem, that what is the world really about? It's all Hashem's kingdom. That is the source for revealing the emunah of Yidden even in the reality of Galus Mitzrayim. And this is what was accomplished through Yecheved by her completing the number of 70. Yecheved is geboren geworden bepesach Mitzrayim. On one hand, Yecheved is already born by the entrance of Mitzrayim. Nicht wie die andere von die Shivim Nefesh, not like the others of the 70 souls, but sie sind geboren geworden frie. They're born before they descend to Mitzrayim. Und Dafke, sie ist gewesen im Zman von Koishi Yeshivut. And she, out of all of them, remained alive even within the most difficult time of the exile of Mitzrayim. So that's on one hand, connected to the idea of Malchus that comes down and is in the place of limitation and is the source of Golus. However, on the other hand, what's the truth about Malchus? What's inside all of this is that redemption came specifically through her son Moshe. He's the one that accomplished and revealed the pure faith by all Yidden. And as we see also regarding Yecheved herself, together with her daughter Miriam, the Miyaldes Ivriyos, so they were the nurses, they were the ones that helped the mothers give birth, even when Mitzrayim decreed that they should not allow the children to live. Haben sie mecharach gewen und der Weg bei den Yidden, die Emunah betochen bei Hashem. They educated and inspired all Yidden to have faith and betochen and trust in Hashem. Nicht zu nispal werden from Paroi ugzeidaisov, not to get affected at all from Paroi or any of his decrees. So therefore we see that Yecheved is the one, herself, and through her son Moshe, that revealed the pure faith of the Yidden being in the Golus of Mitzrayim. And that's the whole purpose of the Yidden descending in Mitzrayim, all as a preparation for Matan Torah, Anoichi Avai Lekecha, that this Lekecha, that Hashem is your energy, the Pintel Yid that's there by Yidden in any situation, wherever they are, even in the lowest Golus. Now based on this, the Rebbe comes back to the Lashon of the Pasuk, where it uses the term, the number Shishim V'Sheish, using Lashon Nekeva, even though we're speaking here about the number of the children, which are mostly Zecharim, boys. Based on this we can say, das was the minyan from Shishim V'Sheish, from Kol HaNefesh Haba Yaakov Mitzrayim, the souls, the children of Yaakov that come to Mitzrayim. So it says the term Shishim V'Sheish in Lashon Nekeva. Then when it speaks about the children of Leah, it also says Shloshim V'Shalish in a Lashon of Nekeva. Why is it using the female term? Weil Iker in Yona upu'olasa from Golus Mitzrayim, Emunah is verbunden mit Bechinas Nekeva, because the main point and the main accomplishment of Yidden being in Golus Mitzrayim, that Yidden should have the power to reveal their faith there in this place, is connected to the woman, to the Nekeva. Sfiras HaMalchus, dafke through Malchus, which comes down into the Golus, and there you find the truth of Hashem in that place. As we can see this in actuality, as the inyan or amunah is begolui mer by noshim v'ba'a noshim. That simple faith is something that's expressed and revealed more by women than by men. So therefore, generally speaking, the Torah here is choosing to point out the women amongst the ones that came down to Mitzrayim by using the number in the female term to point out the power of the woman that reveals the amunah even in such a kind of condition. Now, generally speaking, this is the number of Shishim V'Sheish or Shloshim V'Shalish that refers to all Shvatim that are referred to as Merkavte Tata and Merkavet zu Bechinas Malchus. Similar to the Avis that are Merkavet, that are a chariot and bottle to Hashem, the Shvatim are also a Merkavet, a chariot and bottle, but on a lower level of Merkavet, and they're related to the level of Malchus. This means, in other words, that Teichen Inyan from Bechinas Nukve is Bechlal by the Shvatim. The concept of what we're talking about here, this level of Nekeva, the lower level of Malchus that descends and comes down into the world, that's related to the Shvatim. The level of the Shvatim, unlike the Avis, which are in Atzilus, is related to Malchus that descends into the lower worlds. In the Avis, they're a chariot on a higher level, or in Atzilus, in the world of Atzilus, above being related to the lower worlds. And similar, Yosef is on this level of the Shvatim as is known. And therefore this explains the difference in the number, whether it's in Lashon Nekeva or Lashon Zachar. Steht a mispar b'lashon nekeva shishim v'sheish by Allah under the Shvatim, by all the Shvatim that are generally connected to this level of nekeva coming down into the world. It uses the nekeva term. Mashenkim, when it gets to Yosef, on the contrast by Yosef, where it speaks about his children, it says Nefesh Shnayim, using the Zohar term, because Yosef is related to the level of the Aves, which are in Atzilus, above the existence of the world. So this is in general. The Prati is aber, more in detail, is the Shleimus and the Mispah from Shivim Nefesh Abba Mitzrayim, who's the one that completes the number of 70 when Yidden came down to Mitzrayim in the Yeride, verbunden mit Yecheved, B'chinas Isha, Shanel de Ben Achaimis Canal. So this is connected to Yecheved, a woman that's born by the entrance in the walls of Mitzrayim. So this is the significance, dafka of Yecheved, that completes the number of 70 in order to reveal the Nekudas Hayadas, the Pintel Yid, the faith of Yidden, even being in the Galus of Mitzrayim. Okay, so this is the completion of the explanation of how Galus Mitzrayim is a preparation for the first aspect of Matan Torah, Anochi Avaya Lekecha, in relation to Yidden, to reveal the connection and oneness that every single Yid, no matter where he is, has to Hashem, being Kechacha V'chayesecha, that Hashem is his true energy. Now here the Rebbe turns to the second aspect of what Galus Mitzrayim accomplishes, which will be connected to the other question that the Rebbe asked before. Sleipt up the Shaila, but the question that we asked before still remains. In Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, why is he very specific in Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer to point out that Nesiachsu Kola Zecharim Shishim V'Sheish, that the ones that are being counted here are males, and they're 66. As we just pointed out, the power of the Nekeva, and that the Torah uses in the number the term Shishim V'Sheish, which is a Nekeva term, all connected to Yecheved. But on the other hand, we see that the Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer uses the term Dafke Zecharim, ignoring the fact that amongst them were also Nekevis. There was Dina and Serach Bas Asher. And Achanami Esretzich dort nit wegen der Minyan Amuna. True. So the Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer here is not focusing on the one that was Mashlim all 70, meaning Yecheved, which is the one that brings down Munah for Yidden in Mitzrayim. Was the Shayach by a Ishamer, which is something that's revealed more by a woman, is the Chaber in Scharim Mudgish, but by the males, what's highlighted is something completely different. Nit nor der Inyan von nit nishka werden in Galus, not only not to sink into the exile, not adarabe, by the Zecharim, by the males, the Yidden that are coming down to Mitzrayim, what's emphasized by them? Not adarabe, on the contrary, Einem in them Galus, to conquer the Galus, ish darke lichpaish. As the Gemara says, it's the way of the man to conquer territory. So the fact that, according to the Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, we're highlighting the Zecharim is actually giving us a different approach in understanding what it is that was accomplished when Yidden came down to Galus Mitzrayim, that they're here to conquer. So what is that's being highlighted over here by the Inyan of Zecharim? Is the Bir Bezeh. So the explanation for this is as follows. The Yeride from the Ayin Nefesh in Mitzrayim, the fact that the Yidden, the 70 souls, descend into Galus Mitzrayim, is in Yana Kanal. The point of this, as I mentioned before, it's not only about the accomplishment and preparation of Galus Mitzrayim in relation to Yidden, but also in order to nullify or refine also the existence of the world. On the Ayin Umais and the Ayin Sodom, the 70 nations of the world and the 70 angels, the 70 ministering angels that are the source of the 70 nations in this world. And then and the way this refinement of the world is accomplished, there are two approaches. As it could be accomplished through the Zohar, through the male, which above, in the level of godly revelation, this is Zah, this is the level of the Midas of Hashem, which is above being a source or a direct source for the creation of the world. It's a level of godliness that's above, that's higher than the existence of the world. Or the refinement of the world that's accomplished through the Nekeva, which is related to Malchus, as explained before. So what's the difference between the Zachar and the Nekeva as far as how we refine and elevate this world? Mitzad b'china Zachar. If we are revealing a level in the world that's similar to the nature of the Zachar, the male, is ish darke lichpaish. So the nature of the male is that he conquers. Was kibush b'chlal is ba'ofen shal heipach haratzen from dem v'mem is kibush. What's the idea of conquering? When you conquer, so generally it's conquering territory against the will of the territory of who's you're conquering. Das heißt, in other words, what this means is, as that when you're nullifying someone else's possession or ownership, when you're conquering, is as die Sach wird eingenommen, you're conquering, und geht über in an andere Schuss, and you're taking it into a new possession, Aber mitzad Metzias wird sie nicht nistana. You're possessing something or possessing territory, but you're not changing and there's no transformation in the object or the area itself. It's just being conquered and being taken over from one possession to another. That's the idea of conquering. On the other hand, when you nullify something or you refine something, and it's not just by conquering, but it's a refinement and transformation process, is as die Sach gufe wird nicht. Here the point is to actually change the nature of this thing itself. And this is the approach of the female by a woman. As we see it, as he is mishane u'mesaken de meichel as the man brings the wheat or the grain from the field into the house, as is, just changing its location from the field to the house. And the woman is the one that takes it and prepares it. It should be ready food to eat. So too, regarding her level of refining and elevating the world, this refers to refining the world by changing it, by elevating it, not by conquering and breaking it, or by bit with the kibush. So the same thing can be understood and can be applied also in the way this is spiritually. In the bittel from kechavim mazalas, when it comes to nullify the power that there is with the stars and constellations, which are the powers of nature, ubefrat ha'ayin sadam, and specifically the 70 ministers, they are the source of nature, that all the flow of godliness comes through them into the world. Galus Mitzrayim atoev getan. Yidden being in Galus Mitzrayim accomplished und megala given and revealed nit nor by Yidden. Not only, as we explained before at length, the first idea of Galus as a preparation for Matan Torah in relation to Yidden, naroich by the Yumas Ha'olam, also in relation to all nations of the world. As the ayin sarim habanit ken shlita umemshala mitzad atzmam, that the 70 ministers of the source of nature have no control and dominion at all on their own. They have absolutely no existence of their own. Das heißt, in other words, this means the oisis and oifsim, the miracles and wonders, and mapalas Paray and Mitzrayim, and then the downfall of Paray and Mitzrayim when Yidden were redeemed, ham gepoilt, what this accomplished was, as ich Paray and Mitzrayim ham gegloibt und anerkennt, as ani Havaya bekerev haaretz. They saw Havaya, they saw the level of godliness, and here, below, in the land, in this world. Und die Kechavim Mazalas haben kein Schlit in it, and they realized how all powers of nature have absolutely no control at all. They're merely like the sickle in the hand or the axe in the hand of one that is carving or cutting the wood. Und wie die Chartumim haben gesagt, Etzba Elakimhi. Even the Chartumim, the sorcerers of Mitzrayim themselves, proclaimed and said that this is the finger of Hashem. This is spiritually what was being accomplished in Galus Mitzrayim, in addition to a preparation for Yidden, but also regarding the world in general, to reveal the truth that everything is under the control of Hashem and there's nothing that exists on its own in this world. Now, in this itself, there are two different ways how this can be accomplished, like the Zachar or like the Nekeva. Now, bringing and revealing this within the world itself, in the Oretz, that the Chartumim, Mitzrayim itself should recognize this, meaning that you're actually refining and bringing it out from them, that they should see this. This is accomplished primarily through Malchus. Why Malchus? Vazi is the Shayrish from Makom Bizman. Because Malchus is the source of the godly revelation that comes into the world, and being the source for space and time, which is the most basic definitions of the existence of this world. Und von der Hashpah zu der Ayin Sarim. And Malchus is the source of the godly flow that comes into the world through the 70 ministering angels. The Riber vet and zei der Hert. And therefore, in they, what they sense is, Ubemela oich in the Ayin Umish Shalamata. And then it trickles down and it's also sensed within the 70 nations here below. As Malchusai Bakoil Mashallah. That the kingdom of Hashem has control over everything. As the Habanit can Eigen and Mitzias. They have no entity of their own. Und their Metzias und Memshala is nor mitzad b'chinas HaMalchus. And their entire existence or power that they have is all coming from Hashem's kingdom. That's one level of how we reveal this truth in the world. Through the level of Malchus, that reveals it within the world, that the world itself, the land, the people, in this case, Paray, Mitzrayim, the Chartumim, they should recognize the truth of who they are and what the world itself is. However, now mitzad b'chinas alakus v'sis hecher from Welt. But if there's a godly revelation that's above being a source for creation, for the existence of the world, generally speaking, this is the level of Zah. Higher than Malchus, the level of Zah being above a source for any creation. On this level, there is no existence or significance to any creation. Is there bittul ba'ofen? So here, the level of the nullification of the world is completely different. As is in ganzen nitokin art auf hametzias chutz mimeni yisbarach. There's completely no room at all for any existence other than Hashem. Was mitzad der darge von Holocaust? On this level of godliness, zen the ayin sarim bebittul b'mitzias. There is no existence of an entity of 70 ministering angels to talk about. Not even to speak of them as being in existence that don't have a control or don't have their own existence and they're completely in Hashem's control and they belong totally to Hashem. They can't even be defined at all as Kagarzim Yad HaChaitziv. On this level of godliness is only Hashem. Everything else is just completely bottled and part of Him, part of His will and part of what His existence and His reality is. So over here, this is a completely different level of bittul, where there's a complete nullification of anything other than Hashem. That's when you have the greater revelation from the level of Zah. Das ist bedugmas inyan hakibush. This second and higher level is similar to the Zachar that conquers. Their bittul zayre, here their nullification is nit mitzad in yonam umitziyusam. Here, it's not that there's a level of godliness that descends and comes down into the world to reveal the truth of Hashem within the existence of the world. Nor mitzad elokos versus legamri hechaf Welt. Over here, this is a level of revelation that conquers and nullifies completely that over here, you bring the world to a different possession, into the possession of Hashem. If it's all about His will and in His terms of existence, in the reality of Hashem, what is the world? The world, in the first place, is just part of Hashem's reality, and there is nothing other than that reality. That is the birur, or the conquering of the world that comes from the level of the Zachar, from the male. So these are the two different approaches in how Golus Mitzrayim is able to be a preparation for the second aspect of Matan Torah, which is to bring a godliness into the world in general, as the Medrash says, to take away the Mechitza, the Gzeira, the decree between Alyanim and Tachtenim. Und das ist der Chiluk b'yachas zu der Peule in Welt and on the Ayin Sarim. Now this will explain the difference in the opinions of who is it that makes up the number of 70 regarding the accomplishment of Golus Mitzrayim in relation to the world in general and the 70 nations, or the 70 ministering angels first, Tzvishin, then Pirish, and Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer. So the difference between what it says in Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, which is that Nesiachsu kol ascharem shishim v'sheish, that we have the males that are counted in 66, and Yosef v'shnei banav chulu, and then Yosef and his two children, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu nichnas imon, and then Hashem enters along with them. On al derech zeh dideye as Yaakov hishlam imam, and similar, the second opinion that says that Yaakov is the one that makes up the number 70. Der deye as Yecheved al mashlim gewend der minyan, and the other opinion that it's Yecheved the one that completes the number of 70. So now, the explanation of the difference between them as it relates to the accomplishment regarding the Welt, regarding revealing and refining and elevating the world, is as follows. Because, as the Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer points out, that we're talking about the power of the male, the Zacharim, and then Yosef and his children as well, is the Reiftu and an Reif Mishal Kibush. So over here, what we're focusing on is elevating the world like the Zachar does, which conquers. Bittul mitziyusam legamri, to completely elevate and bring the world into the possession of Hashem, where the world of there has no existence at all. Vi the Medrash zakt legabe Yosef, and as the Medrash itself says regarding Yosef, the Yosef hurad Mitzrayma, Yosef was brought down to Mitzrayim, shalat bahen, he ruled over them. Heich ma the at omar, and this is what the pasuk says, v'yerd biyam ad yam, and he ruled from sea to sea, kavash bahen, he conquered them. So this is the expression regarding the power of the Zacharim, or the godly revelation that's above the existence of the world, that when you bring the world to that place, to that level of possession of Hashem, so that's what the world consists of. It's just godliness. There is nothing other than Hashem. Since this is accomplished by the godly revelation above the existence of the world, darfen dem sein die Schleimos von der Beginnes Elokos Shalamayla Mishtalshalos. So you need the ultimate level of revelation of godliness above the system of creation. So this is the power of Hashem, the level of Seiviv Kalalman, which comes along with Yidden, Nichnas Imohem, that comes along with the Yidden, and here's the emphasis of Imohem, along with the Yidden, that the existence of the world has absolutely nothing to say over here. Adar al Kapanim von Yaakov Neshama Datzilis, or at least the level of Yaakov being a Neshama Datzilis, which is above the existence of the lower worlds, that keeps the Yidden completely above the existence. And this is a level of kibush, when you're totally conquering and bringing the world to a different reality, to Hashem's reality. Mitzad Bechinas Malchus, however, then there's a different way of elevating and refining the world based on the level of Malchus. Was der Bittul is in on mitzad zeh metzias gufe. Here, refining and nullifying the world here to Hashem is in a different way. This is bringing the existence of Hashem within and based on what they can reveal within their nature itself, in their existence itself. Und Rebbe is das mer poil di amunah b'diyum Yisraelim lamato. And therefore, this accomplishes to a greater extent that the Goyim themselves, that they should come to believe in Hashem. By Parei Mitzrayim, that even Parei himself and the Mitzrayim themselves, as it ever brought before, that they recognized Ani Avaya B'Kerev Haaretz. Hat sich the Shleimus von Ayin Nefesh. So in this approach of refining the world, who is the one that completes the number of 70 to empower Yidden to do this? Oiv Getan Dorech Yecheved. This is accomplished through Yecheved. Vazi Dafke Hishlima Saminyan. She completes the number. Nit Hishlima Imahem. And here it does not say the emphasis of Imahem, that it's with the Yidden to remain totally above the world and that everything should be elevated to the possession of Hashem. But rather, this is Yecheved that completes the number of the Yidden that are coming down to be in Mitzrayim in order to reveal the way the Nekeved does, based on the level of Malchus, to bring it down within the nature of the world itself. That's the approach that it says in this opinion of the Medrash. So now we have the explanation of the various opinions, who's the one that's making up the number of 70, both in the first part of the Sikha, as this relates regarding to the Yidden, preparing them for Matan Torah, and then over here, as it relates to preparing the world for Matan Torah, that the world itself will be elevated and refined to become one with Hashem. Now the Rabbi explains that these three opinions that are quoted in three different places are all according to different levels of what these sources represent. Now we can say, as the chilok tzvishin the pirushim, the difference between these various interpretations is behesen zu the chiluki darges from the mifarshe pirushim elo. It's based on the levels of the sources that are saying these interpretations. What level? What are they about? Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer, Medrash Bechlal, Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer, and the Medrash in general, which is Haggadah B'Torah, the stories of the Torah. Most of the secrets of the Torah and the wisdom of Kabbalah and the knowledge of Hashem, all godly matters, are all hidden in the Haggadah, which is the stories and all the drushes that there are in Torah. Is the Chelek HaTorah, so this is the portion in Torah, was is Heche von Eslapshus in Eilam. This is where it expresses the truth of Hashem in Torah as it is in Hashem's reality above, relating to the existence of the world. This is a level of godliness where the world has no significance at all. The far is like say that ikra pirish as a Kadosh Baruch Hu nichnas imam b'minyan. So therefore, according to them, the Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer and the Medrash, the main way to understand who's the one that completes the number 70 is Hashem. Hashem is the one that comes with them to complete that number. Was mitzadem is the kibush and an oifen from bittul legamri from the ayin starim. It's on this level that you can accomplish to refine and elevate the world. In what way? That you bring them completely, you conquer them completely into the possession of Hashem, and the world has no significance, no existence at all. That's on one level. On the other level, mitzad mefarshi Torah, the commentaries quoted before in Torah. They are explaining the pshat and the pasuk. Was is ba'asiyah? The psukim in Torah tell us the way things relate to our world here below. Aber zei pirish is nit legamri al derech hapshat. Still, they do not explain things completely in its most simple and basic terms. Habenet azei fil art hat nicht so viel Art der Pirish as a Kadosh Baruch Hu nichnas imam. So this explanation that it's a level of a Kadosh Baruch Hu of Sovev Kalaman that elevates above the existence of the world is not what's expressed here as much. Der Bittel v'kibush from Welt mitzat b'chinas Sovev Kalaman was lamayla mishtalshus. This level of Sovev Kalaman is not what their Pirish, what their focus is about. Therefore, they explain as Yaakov Hishlam Imam. Who's the one that completes the number 70? It's the level of Yaakov. Was Yaakov, which also makes up Yud Ekev, that the Yud comes down and shines and is expressed even in the heel. Vet Nimshach and Biyah al Yidei Shvatim. It comes down into the lower worlds through the Shvatim. Chotch Gufa is nityated, although Yaakov himself does not descend the same way that the Shvatim do. Mitzidoi hat Bittel from Welt epis hashayches zu Mitzias Elam Gufa. And it's on this level that we're speaking about nullifying and elevating the world to the level of Hashem and connecting it to Hashem, but not that we're completely nullifying the significance of the world's existence. This is already a lower level. Like Pirish Rashi, now according to Rashi, which is Pshutishal Mikra, Mamish, which is the literal and simple understanding of what the pasuk says. Was is verbunden mit Asiya Mamish, and therefore Rashi's interpretation is connected to the physical world in its most simple and basic form, literally. Herzog an der Bittel von Welt mitzad ihr Sheirish Gufa. Here, Rashi explains this concept by explaining how we could reveal our nullification to Hashem in this world by revealing the true existence of the source of what the world itself is about, the nature of the world itself. Was demult is the bitter bittel mer bepnimius. And here, there's a great advantage to this because now the bittel is more internally, meaning it's more real within what the world itself is. Verbunden mit ihr mitzias gufa, connected to what its true identity is. Mitzadem is the Pirish as Yechevet Hishlima Min Yishal Yisrael. And therefore it's Rashi that says that it's Yechevet the one that completes the number, as explained before, that Yechevet represents Malchus, which is the source of creation itself. Das is Masim mit dem Mechuvin von Golus v'Yitzias Mitzrayim Matan Torah. And this is all fitting to the whole point and the purpose of the Yidden being in Golus and then leaving Mitzrayim, coming to Matan Torah. What was accomplished by Matan Torah is nit nor der Bittel von Welt, not just to nullify the world and to eradicate its existence, in other words, to elevate it to Hashem's reality, nor euch die Nisinis Koyach as achtes Hashem soll der Herd werden in der Metzias von Welt mitzad atzma ve'enyana, but also to bring the oneness of Hashem, that it should be experienced within the existence of the world, within the nature of what the world itself represents, the Mitzrayim, the Chartumim, that they themselves should recognize the truth and the oneness of Hashem. That's what the point of Matan Torah is. Wie das hat sich ausgedrückt, and this was also expressed by Matan Torah Gufe. By Matan Torah, what happened at the time of Matan Torah itself, as this was expressed by the fact, as Neisef Evdem, was Tzipor Leitzavach, at the time of Matan Torah, a bird did not chirp, Oif Parach, a bird did not fly, Shar Go, the ox didn't moo. So there was a cessation of the functioning of everything in the world. So that's a level of bittul. But then there was something else as well. As der koil von Anochi Vayigash, the voice of the Hashem proclaiming Anochi Vayigash, gekommen von alle dalad ruches ha'olam und shamayim v'aretz. It emanated from the existence of the world itself, from all four directions of the world, including heaven and earth, meaning that the world itself, which is divided in its nature and its different directions, it itself proclaimed and said, Anochi Havaya Lekecha. That's the ultimate point of Matan Torah. And similar as what's explained and it is related in the Gemara as B'shas Matan Torah. At the time of Matan Torah, the voice of Hashem traveled and went from one end of the world to the other. And the nations of the world became afraid, and they came to ask Bilam, what is this about? And when he told them, as Hashem that Hashem is giving the power, which is the Torah, to Yidden, they calmed down, and they, the nations of the world, themselves said, Hashem Yivarech Asami Bashalim, that Hashem should bless his nation, the Yidden, with peace. This is expressing the point that the ultimate point of Matan Torah is not only to first, that's the beginning, to bring down the pure the pure nullification that is of the world by revealing a level of godliness that's above the existence of the world, but then to reveal this within the nature of the world itself, which is accomplished specifically through the koyach of Yecheved, the Isha, the woman in general, and the Midah, the Sphira of Malchus. Now, the Rebbe concludes and applies this practically to the woman and the special mitzvahs that apply to a woman. Kishayin vidas is given by Golas Mitzrayim, just as this was in the exile of Mitzrayim, as Yecheved Afke Shlimas Aminyan, that it's specifically Yecheved that completed the number. Durch hat sich aufgetan der Bittel vom Welt mitzad Metzias Olam Gufe Kanal. And therefore she's the one that accomplishes to nullify the world and to connect it, to dedicate it to Hashem, but it should be within the nature of the world itself. Similar, it's also now in the Golas, this last Golas that we're in. It's the introduction and preparation for the final and the upcoming redemption. That then the flesh, the world itself, as the Geshem Olam Atzmai, wird nisbarer werden und zen den Pi Havaya, that the very physical of the world itself will be refined to the point that it will see the word of Hashem. And it's also said regarding our Golos that the redemption will be similar to the way when Yidden came out of Mitzrayim with the great wonders that happened. And just like then, it was all as a reward and in the merit of the righteous women that they were redeemed in that generation from Mitzrayim. So too, in the upcoming and very closely coming redemption, it'll be in the merit of the work and the preparation of the women and the girls. And therefore we could see this point as explained before, as it's expressed regarding the women specifically. As the Gimel mitzvahs was then an Ivige gegeben geworden, zu Neshei b'nei Yisrael, the three mitzvahs that were given specifically for the women, which are Hadlakas Nei, the Shabbos Kodesh, to light the Shabbos candles, the Yom Tif, and Challah, and the mitzvah of separating the Challah from the dough, which is more generally kashrus ha'achila shtiyah, to cook and bake and to make sure that everything is done kosherly and properly, und taras ha'mishpacha, and also family purity, which are given to the woman, they express the nature of this idea to bring godliness into the world within the nature of the world itself. How is that? The mitzvahs anal, zene pa'ulis v'zene fabunden, these three mitzvahs are activity that are connected to with those necessities and needs of the person, which are applicable and are part of life even by non-Jews that are created and are settled and here living in this world. Lichtigkeit, number one, lighting Shabbos candles. You need light, even just physically, to have light in order not to stumble on a wood or a stone. Achille, and then food to eat. And v'chaye mishpacha, to have family life. So these are the basic necessities of a person living in the nature of this world. And the Aveda from the Shei B'nai Yisrael is, so what's the Aveda of the women and the girls is regarding this? As the Zelbe Pa'ulis, that the very same activity that's done for the basic needs of a person in this world, sollen getan werden dafke auf an Yiddischen Neufen. That it should be done, but it should be done in the Yiddish way. Hadlakas haner is verbunden mit Shabbos v'Yom Tov. Lighting that candle for light physically is a holy candle. It's a light of Shabbos and Yom Tov. And that the food should not just be eating, but kashrus ha'achilu shtiyah. That the food should be kosher food. On taras hamishpacha, and the family life should not just be family life, but it should be a pure family life. And this is the achane, and this is the preparation as gashmis ha'olam gufa, that the physical world itself becomes purified, biz to the point that we come to the fulfillment of v'ro kol basa yachtov kipi havaya diber, that the flesh of the world itself sees the oneness of Hashem, the word of Hashem in this world.